Are you guys ready?
Yes.
You all ready for this? Welcome to the One Life One Chance podcast. I'm your host, Toby Morse. Today, I have a very special guest. But before I introduce him, I have my right-hand man here again, my brother from another mother, Mr. Derek Green.
What up?
How many episodes have you done with me so far, you think?
I haven't been counting. But
Over 10 so far.
Definitely over 10.
So during the COVID, Derek's been home from tour. This is the longest we've been home off tour together, and he's been coming on the podcast. It's been wonderful.
Because I have nothing else to
But
do.
now things are opening. But welcome to the podcast, Scott Ian. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Thanks.
We've
Hey,
been talking about this for so long.
thanks
I'm so
for
happy.
being so patient. I know we've been trying to make this and then COVID got in the way. And then,
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here.
Thanks for being here. How you doing? Everybody's good?
Good.
Good.
Do you want to see what happened to you today, Derek, or no?
No, I'm all right.
Okay,
Oh,
well,
yeah. I'm actually, I got my last shot, so if I fade off
That's what I was worried about.
in the interview, then...
Yeah. It took me, after my second shot, I felt just a little, I was like, whatever that day. But the next day, I felt crappy. I woke
That's what
up.
everyone's saying.
I just had a low fever like all day. And, which is fine. I was happy to have it, honestly.
Yeah, chilling.
Yeah, I'm drinking a lot of water. I'm
Yeah.
going to take some naps.
Is this the longest you've been home
Yes.
for a long time?
Off tour? Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't played an Anthrax show since November 15th, 2019. It was the last show of that album cycle.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
And we're supposed to play our first show back is this Rock Fest in July in Cadott, Wisconsin.
I think I saw
And,
that.
I mean, they're telling me it's happening.
So
Yeah.
how do you
So-
feel about that?
I'm super excited to play.
Does it seem like it's unbelievable in a way? where-
Yes. I don't know. It's hard
Yeah.
to picture
Right.
20, 30,000 people in a field.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard to
Yeah.
imagine, really. But if I'll be there. If they
Right.
tell me we're playing,
I know.
I'm going.
I know.
So-
I'm seeing so many shows being advertised like every day now.
It's great.
So many festivals.
Yeah, I mean, we just
It's exciting.
we have like basically a show a month starting in July all the way through November, like one-offs in the States because we're doing all those Wimmerfests. And, and then Mr. Bungle is going to do Riot Fest now in
right,
September in Chicago. And
That's a great fest.
So I'm super excited. I'm like hoping the rug doesn't get pulled out and like something
Right,
bad
right.
happens and things get worse and then they're like, nope, everything's canceled. Like I'd be, not just me, but everyone will be very bummed out about that.
Yeah. You look good, but you've been training, you've been working out while you're
I've
doing
been
this.
a lazy fucker.
I've been seeing you do a lot of hikes and shit like that, though.
Yeah, I mean, because where we live, it's easy. I can
Yeah.
But
You've been
I
lazy.
walk a lot. No, well, I got, not to get all fucking bummer dude, but I started like back in when I had to learn all these Bungle songs, right, to make that record. And it's super, super intense thrash metal, like fastest, craziest shit I've ever played in my life. And fucking songs are 6-7 minutes, 90 changes in the song.
Damn.
But just super, super intense right hand. Faster, like I said, it's faster shit than I've ever done in my life. And it was intense for months learning that stuff back in 19. And then we went out and did shows in February of 20, right before COVID. And we made the record right after that. And I developed tennis elbow in my right arm.
Oh, wow.
From that. Like, it's such a weird, lame name, tennis elbow, for considering what I was actually doing to injure myself playing thrash metal. But yeah, so the tendon in here is all fucked up, and so I had to stop boxing. Like even now, if I work out, I just do legs and abs because anything I do with my right arm now just hurts.
Yeah.
So I'm going to PT for this, and because I got to play guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to even go get this PRP injection, which is platelet-rich plasma, which I guess is a big thing with athletes. It's
Wow.
like where
It's
they take
intense.
your own blood and they inject the plasma from your own blood into the area, and it's supposed to help what's going on. And,
I've heard that before, actually.
Okay.
Kind of
but yeah,
replenishes it. and
you
stuff.
know,
Yeah.
it's just, I'm not supposed to be playing 220 BPM for 6 minutes straight when you're 56 years old. It's just,
You're 56?
yeah.
Wow, man.
No, I'm older.
Great,
How old
dude.
am I?
Wow.
50.
I don't think you're that old, man.
63. Yeah, I'll be 58
Wow.
this year. I can't even do the
Wow,
math right
great,
now.
dude.
Nice.
Thanks.
This guy's a billion of your wrinkles, man.
Thanks.
It's pretty amazing.
Amazing. Yeah.
I think playing
Looking
music and
great,
doing
yeah.
shit you love really keeps you young. I just really feel like that, you know?
Definitely
Very lucky.
enjoying
Adds to
my
it.
myself for a long
Yeah.
time. I think that has a lot to do with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
really feel like
No,
that.
absolutely. I think a good balance,
You look great for your 55.
Oh, thanks.
He just turned 50.
That's fun.
So you're from Bayside Queens?
Bayside Queens.
Queens.
Wow. That
Hello.
was where my band played our first show at Club Raw in 1994.
On Bill Boulevard.
Yes.
Yeah.
So is there a lot of other bands from Bayside Queens?
No. And
I
so
think
weird
so. I
that
looked it up. Yeah.
I mean, I moved out. I moved out of Bayside in '86.
Okay.
I think.
Where'd you move to?
Forest Hills.
Okay.
I got
Yeah.
but it was a big deal because I was finally out of my mom's apartment. I mean, we lived in a small, what was supposed to be a 1-bedroom, but the 1-bedroom, we moved in there like in the 70s. We put a wall in, so my brother and I had, we each had a side, tiny little rooms, and then my mom was in this even tinier little room. But in '86, I finally had money to get my own apartment, so I found a tiny 1-bedroom and filled with mice in Forest Hills. But for me, it was a fucking palace because
Right, yeah.
I had my own place for the first time
It's
in
the
my
best
life.
feeling.
But Bayside Queens. No, there was no bands.
Yeah.
Me and Danny Loker. You know,
We were talking about him today,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Danny and
legend.
I met in high school, and we were just into all the same shit.
Yeah.
And there was a small crew of us. There was like 6 or 7 other guys. Maybe we would all sit at the same lunch table, and my friend David would always bring a little boombox in with cassettes, and we would listen to music at lunch, and always try and find some new tape that no one had heard yet. Like he was the dude. He was the dude who brought in like Van Halen first album and had Eruption queued up and put it on, and all our jaws dropped because we couldn't even understand what we were listening to. And so that's what we just had a crew of us, long hair, leather jacket dudes who nobody messed with us. We sat all the way in one corner of the lunchroom, and
Wow.
that's how it started with me and Danny. And then he was in a band called White Heat with some guys from Long Island.
Yeah.
And they would actually play in the city, like even back then, like I'm talking 79, 80.
Wow.
They would
How old is Danny? Jesus.
my age,
Okay.
or a year younger than me.
Okay.
And they would play in the city, like, which being in Queens, you were like, fuck, if you could just play in Manhattan,
Yeah.
you made it,
Yeah.
And I would always say to him too, because we'd walk to school together every day and walk home from school, and he learned about Anthrax in school in like biology class or something. He told me about it, and I said, that sounds like a good metal band name.
Wow.
Like when
sick.
White Heat breaks up, we'll start a band called Anthrax. White Heat's not going to break up. I'm like, well, when someday when White Heat breaks up, because we would hang out every day. We would sit in his house or in my house and just jam.
Right.
And when White Heat breaks up, when finally a couple months later they finally broke up, and then me and him, like just with some other friends, local dudes, in Bay Terrace and stuff, we jammed one night, July 18th, 1981, and
Wow.
and we decided to call that Anthrax.
Whoa. What drew you to guitar? Like, why was that your instrument of choice?
I saw Pete Townsend on TV when I was a little kid. Like I'm like probably around 9, and I saw him doing his windmill, which I can't even do right now because it hurts my elbow. But yeah, I saw him doing that on TV, and I just thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And
Wow.
I just bugged my parents for guitar lessons after that. Like, please,
so you
please,
had
please,
lessons.
get me a guitar. Get me a guitar. They wouldn't buy me an electric guitar because they were afraid I would play it for a week and then it would collect dust over, in the basement. And so this is when we were living on Long Island before my parents divorced, and we moved back to Bayside. I lived in Bayside as a little kid, like 69 to 72.
Yeah.
Then my dad bought a house on Long Island. We were there for like 2 years. Then my parents split, and we moved right back to Bayside, like right down the street from where we had lived before.
Wow.
But anyway, they got me an acoustic guitar. So I started for 6 months taking lessons on acoustic. And then my teacher convinced them. He said he's really taking this seriously. He's getting good, and
That's awesome.
and it would make his life way easier if he had an electric to play
That's
on.
awesome.
Yeah.
So my dad took me, and we went to some used guitar shop on Long Island somewhere, and I got a 1972 Fender Telecaster Deluxe in coffee table brown. But I had 2 humbuckers, and man, I was so stoked. I had a little Fender amp, and I had a Big Muff fuzz pedal, and
Sick.
man, I was the happiest kid ever.
What were you listening to? What kind of music? What were you listening to then?
Way back then, a lot of the stuff my parents listened to
Yeah.
in the house. They had I remember the Woodstock soundtrack being on a lot as a kid. So, on that record, as my parents were more into like Richie Havens and Joe Cocker, let's say, off that record, whereas I really loved The Who and like hearing Hendrix on there. And but then even like my dad was really into like Simon and Garfunkel, so I'd hear that a lot. So, you can't deny great songwriting.
Yeah, totally.
And my dad was like into the Doobie Brothers and all kinds of early 70s stuff. So there was good music in the house.
Yeah,
then on my own, like I found Elton John around 73-ish. I started like buying his 7 inches. And then my parents took me to see Elton John at Nassau Coliseum on like Yellow Brick Road tour.
In the U.S., man. There's on the radio. He was like hot. Like,
yeah.
So many songs.
So Elton John was like my first real Elton John and The Who. That for me, they were the first 2 bands like I really got into.
Yeah.
And then I found Kiss in 75, and that
Life
was,
changer.
That was it. It was like if you were a junkie finding heroin. For me,
Wow.
it was straight to fucking mainline, right to my brain. Let's see, hard rock, horror, comic books, everything I loved, all in one package.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So you were in high school then?
No, I was like 11 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Shit.
yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
You were never a huge Kiss fan, were you, too?
Later on in life, I appreciated him.
Right. Because I remember it was like a huge thing, like people getting like the moon boots.
You know what happened?
and
We were
the collector
we were
cards,
managed by
the
us and
dolls.
Civ and Orange Valley Millimeter. We
By
managed by
McGee.
Scott McGee.
Yeah.
And we
Right.
found out Doc McGee was there, and then Civ got to open up for Kiss at Madison Square Garden.
I remember that.
So that was like, holy shit.
That's crazy.
That was kind of the connection, like, because obviously I knew Kiss growing up and stuff. They were scary. I was like,
Civ, the band, opened
Yeah.
for Kiss.
Yeah.
How did I not know that?
because Scott McGee was their manager too at the time. Yeah,
Was
all of
Charlie
us.
in the band?
Yeah,
Charlie.
yeah.
How did I not know this?
He was so stoked.
That's
man.
crazy.
It's crazy, right?
Wow, yeah.
So that was like, holy shit.
Wow. Amazing.
So how were you in school? Did you like school?
Yeah. For me, school was always it was just a means to an end.
Yeah.
I knew if I kept my grades up, I could keep my mom off my back.
Yeah.
Because it was quickly apparent to me as a kid, if you're getting good grades, nobody says shit to you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Facts.
to me, that was like the secret of life. I found that out at a very early age because, once my parents split, we moved back to Queens. I was going on 12 years old, and my mom was working, so she'd leave the house 5:36 in the morning, and she wouldn't get back till like 7 at night. So it was just me and my brother, who's 3 years younger than me,
Yeah.
and we're just on our own. So I figured I gotta take care of shit. I got my brother to worry about, as well as I gotta keep my mom as happy as possible and keep her off my back because I want to be able to do shit and not be hassled, which meant like hang out with my friends and play music and stay out late. And as long as I was getting good grades, she couldn't say boo, which was,
Yeah.
And then, it was, to me, that was the easy path. I'd rather study a little more and get good grades than be constantly fighting with my mother.
Yeah.
Like it just seemed like an easier path. And I was just naturally good in school. I was a math brain, so
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
School was easy for me.
Was there a favorite subject that you had?
I was terrible at math, man. Fuck.
Well, it was, it always came down to good teachers.
True.
That's true.
Like, I may not like the subjects. Like, I remember I had a guy, his name was Dr. Blank. And I remember I had like a science club, biology class with him, like in high school. And it's not something I would ever really think I would be into, but he was like a good teacher, and he was like fun to be in his classroom, and he would do cool shit. And my favorite class in high school was TV studio. That was there was a TV studio at Bayside High.
Oh, wow.
So you'd be able to take that class and they had old what they called a camcorder, but it was this giant thing with wires attached to a tape recorder, and they'd let you take that shit out and take it home for the weekend. Oh,
wow.
So we'd like run around the lots by our house in Bay Terrace, where the shopping center is there in Bay Terrace. Most of that was empty lots, and so we used to ride our bikes through there and record it and throw fireworks at each other and tape it, and then we'd bring it in, and Mr. Friedman, that's a whole other story, which I'll get into the little bit of that, and people could find that themselves. But we made a movie, Mr. Friedman. It would just be like us riding around on our bikes throwing firecrackers at each other. But Mr. Friedman, he was like the coolest teacher. He would get you out because if you were in TV studio, you were automatically part of the AV squad. So like if some class needed a movie run, you'd go do it, which would get you out of other classes. And Mr. Friedman would write you notes to get you out of classes, and you just come hang out at the TV studio and like listen to tapes and stuff. But
awesome.
Later on, this is long after I was out of school, there's a documentary called Capturing the Friedmans, which you should Google. And it's about that teacher, Arnold Friedman, and his son, who were accused of being pedophiles. They had a computer programming course that they would teach. They taught out of their house in Great Neck. And I'm not going to get in the whole story.
I'm looking it up.
But the movie's called, it's an amazing documentary called Capturing the Friedmans. He went to jail. He was found guilty.
Holy shit.
But when you see the doc, it really seems to come off like he took the heat for it to protect his son.
Gotcha.
But who knows?
Wow.
It's all bad. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Whatever it is. Because they did
shit.
find a whole bunch of shit in their basement, No. And but you should watch Capturing the Friedmans. This is a guy he was a TV studio teacher and he was a science teacher. I had him basically for 4 years at Bayside High, and he was I never tried anything with me, but I was too old. It was like little kids.
Holy fuck, man.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Brutal shit.
Did you when that first came out, you're like, holy shit, you're like, couldn't believe it?
Yeah, a friend of mine that still in touch with from Bayside said, dude, I was still in New York then, I think. I moved out here in 89. I feel like it was late 80s when it all broke. But a friend of mine hit me up and said, like, dude, did you hear what happened to Mr. Friedman? I was like, what? Did he die? Like, he goes, no, worse. Like,
holy shit.
It's much worse.
And I was like, holy shit. It was in all the newspapers. Like, it was a huge deal.
Wow. So did you graduate?
Yeah, graduated. Graduated, went to, started St. John's University in fall of 81. Wow. And spent my whole time at St. John's. I only made it through one semester. Spent my whole time at St. John's with my Walkman on, listening to first two Iron Maiden records and Run DMC, whatever was out up until that point. And it wasn't for me. Like, I was already soaked because Anthrax had officially already started in July of that year. We weren't doing anything yet, but we were rehearsing a lot and trying to write songs. And
what was your major going to be there? What were you majoring?
I was majoring in economics. Whatever the fuck that means. Somewhere in my brain, I was going to be a lawyer. Right? I'm a Jewish kid from Queens, so you're either a doctor or a lawyer. Mm-hmm. Like, third place, God forbid, you're a dentist. Like, that's my mother's. That's Jewish mother. Like, guilt. I remember as a kid, I want to be a race car driver over my dead body. Like.
So were they tripping on you wanting to play music? Your parents?
My mom was. My dad wasn't, because I started that summer of like 81. I started working my dad was in the jewelry business in the city, so I started working as a messenger at his office to get money so I could buy gear, and so college starts. So my college schedule was pretty easy. It was like 9 to 1, and then I'd get on the train, go to the city, and work the rest of the day in the city, like 5 days a week. Well, after that first semester, I stopped going to school and just was getting up in the morning like I was going to school, my mother thought, but I just get on the train, go to Manhattan. I was working full time now, right at like the beginning of 82. Because all I wanted to do was make money so I could buy better equipment, more equipment, pay to go make demos, whatever it took. Mm-hmm. I needed money. Yeah. None of us had money. I had to work. So, but I didn't tell my mom for like months.
Wow.
And one day my dad finally said, he's like, does your mother know you like, what's going to happen? Like, you're supposed to be finished with your first years. You're supposed to be a sophomore. Like, maybe you should tell your mom. I'm like, how do you think that's going to go? He's like, not well. Like, wow. So when I told her, I finally got up the nerve over the next few days, and I said, I got to tell you something. I kind of dropped out like 4 or 5 months ago. And
oh man,
the fucking scream that she unleashed was like, I tell you, it's the only reason aliens haven't invaded yet, because that scream is going out through the fucking galaxies, and they hear that and they're like, we're staying away from that place. She fucking started literally threw me out of the house. Literally, get the fuck out of my house. You know, no kid of mine is blah, blah, blah. I'm like, but I'm working full time.
And with
it's not
your
like
dad, right?
Yeah. I'm working. Well, it actually made her even more angry at that point because it's not like they had a good relationship.
Right.
Your father's okay with this? You know, I'm like, I'm working full time. I'm not sitting on my ass. You know, like I'm fucking working. And then every night I'm rehearsing. I'm fucking like, give me a break here. She threw me out of the house. I walked to the Exxon across the street to the payphone and called my dad. He was living out in Merrick on Long Island. And I was like, he's like, how'd it go? I said, she threw me out. Can you come get me? He goes, all right, yeah. He goes, you have stuff? I said, yeah, I packed a bag. And so I stood there in the Exxon station for like 25 minutes and he showed up. And I lived with my dad for like the next 7-8 months until my mom finally, and I was taking the Long Island Railroad in every day with him from Merrick, which was a pain in the ass because then I would have to go back to Queens to rehearse and then find a way back to Long Island every night. It was fucking like crazy. And then finally my mom, she let me come back in like 7-8 months later. She caved and let me move back in. I needed to be in Queens. That's where everything was going on for me. So she let me move back in.
How old were you then?
80. So I was 18.
18, yeah.
Yeah.
So Anthrax already started. You have the name. You haven't played any shows yet. You're just practicing and writing songs.
I think our first show was like in fall of '81. We played a basement of a church in Flushing.
Sick.
Our bass player then, this guy Kenny Kushner, knew somebody who knew somebody, and this church had a basement that had like a stage in it that they would use for theater productions. And
Sick.
And they said, if you give us $50, you could have the room.
Wow.
We don't have a PA or anything, but our bass player had like a little PA, and so we sold like tickets to our friends, and they were like for $3, yeah,
How many songs
we
were
played
in the
this
set list?
Yeah,
dude.
so
We
it's
played
insane.
like probably like 90 minutes, like because we were doing covers too.
Okay.
But we would play like obscure old Priest that nobody like. We were playing shit off Sad Wings of Destiny and
Yes,
like
my favorite album.
all
by
kinds
Judas
of
Priest.
obscure
Definitely,
old
yeah.
shit that nobody who was coming even knew.
Right.
Like if they knew Priest, they knew Hellbent for Leather maybe,
yeah,
but they
but-
certainly didn't know the older. And we were already playing stuff off the first Maiden record, and we were playing like Saxon. We were playing a lot of new wave of British heavy metal stuff.
Wow.
And we were just playing it. It's not like we were announcing like, here's this next one's by Raven. We would just do it, and we had like 4 or 5 originals, and there's photos of that gig. There's no audio.
Wow.
John Connolly, who ended up being the singer of Nuclear Assault, he was the first singer in Anthrax too, because he went to high school with Danny and I. And
Okay.
so he was the first singer. He didn't last very long, but yeah, that was our first gig, and we would try. We would going into '82. We'd go to bars and clubs in Queens that we knew had live music, and you'd bring a demo, and they'd listen to your demo and it'd be our original songs. And
Yeah.
9 times out of 10 they would say, "Go learn a Van Halen set, and call us when you do that, and then maybe we'll give you a Wednesday night." Because that was what was huge back then, especially on the cover bands. And but we didn't want to do that. We just kept writing our own songs, and once in a while you'd get a gig, and then somehow we got a gig at Great Gildersleeves on the Bowery. Which was a big deal. And that was in '82. Right around the same time, I saw The Exploited, my first punk show.
Oh, shit.
There we go.
Because now Neil Turbin was already in the band, because he also went to high school with me and Danny. And Neil's in the band. And Neil was kind of a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Danny and I were still very much Queens kids.
Yeah.
Like we would go to the city and stuff, but we weren't hanging out in the city. Like whereas Neil, he would go to shows, and we'd go to big shows. We'd go to the Garden and stuff like that,
Yeah.
or the Palladium. But we weren't going to Gildersleeves or CBGB's or places like that yet. And Neil was going to clubs. Like he
He's
would
in the
go to
mix.
like Max's, or
Yeah.
he was like going to places like that. And so he took me to Gildersleeves. I think it was me and Danny and Neil went. We went to Gildersleeves to see Exploited, and I'd obviously seen things on TV, and stuff,
Right.
but I had never been in a room when a real punk band,
Yeah.
and I fucking loved that record too with Jimmy Boyle on it and all that, and I couldn't believe it. I remember we were sitting up in this little like bird's nest perch there at Gildersleeves, looking down on the floor, and I'm watching what I was told was called, Neil said, watch them, you can see them start slam dancing. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he goes, you watch when they come on. And then, of course, the shit just kicked off as soon as they started. And I was like, I'm going down there. That's the fucking best thing I've ever seen. And he, like, Neil literally grabbed me. He goes, you can't. I'm like, why not? He goes, you have long hair. They'll beat the shit out of you.
I was just going to ask you that. I was
right. He goes, you'll get your
Such
skin.
A bum out.
He goes, the skinheads, man. He goes, trust me. He goes, trust me. He goes, I know. And I'm like, all right, I'm fine. I won't go. It was like the coolest thing I'd ever seen, right?
Wow.
And then Anthrax gets a gig at Gildersleeve's. We played to about 18 people, and nobody was slam dancing. But we couldn't believe we had a gig in the city. We figured that we made it.
That's a big deal, though.
Yeah, it's a huge.
But yeah, just always trying to get gigs, working our ass off. And it wasn't until it was like around Halloween of '82. That's when we met Johnny Z, the founder of Megaforce Records, because he was promoting a show in Staten Island, which was Riot, Anvil, and Raven. And we couldn't believe someone was bringing Anvil and Raven to New York, because Raven was this, obscure new wave of British heavy metal, super underground, like proto thrash band from Newcastle, England, that we fucking loved. Wow. And Anvil's, also the proto thrash band from Toronto, and Riot's from New York, and like, who the fuck even knows to bring these bands to New York? Like, so, and then we found out it's this guy Johnny Z, Rock and Roll Heaven, the record store in Jersey, and we met him that day. We got down there early, and we were handing out demos and flyers. Me and Danny Looker on the line to get in, and we met Johnny. He was handing out flyers for other Raven and Anvil gigs that he had coming up that week, and he was so fucking cool. He like handed us backstage passes.
Wow.
We got to go in. I was like, met fucking Lips from Anvil. I handed him an Anthrax t-shirt that we had made, and I fucking, after the show, we're backstage. He's wearing the fucking Anthrax shirt.
It's awesome.
And that was it. That was the start of everything. Because Johnny, we knew, like, this guy, he literally has his finger on the pulse of what we think is the fucking newest, coolest shit. And then, of course, he gets the Metallica demo and brings Metallica East to make their record, and that's how really the whole thing kicked off.
Holy shit.
Wow.
He brings Metallica to New York. We start playing shows together, and we're both nobodies. But, playing fucking Willie's in Sayreville, New Jersey, like...
Small crowds?
I'd say, not small, better than half, but 50,000 people will tell you they were at that show.
Yeah.
Of course.
Like we played the Show Place out in Dover. Like we were playing all these shitholes in Jersey together. This is pre-Kill 'Em All.
Damn.
Oh my God.
Pre-internet, just word of mouth.
Yeah. Just that this band from San Francisco, and like
but people knew who they were.
Well, because of Johnny's store, because he was
right.
just making copies of the demo to us, just trying to blow it up as much as possible, because he knew he's like, I'm going to start a label and I'm going to put out an album. This is too good, because he played the demo for every label in the city, and people would just sit there with their fingers in their ears. Nobody wanted to hear it. It was, like no one had what the fuck is this?
Wow.
It's like Motorhead on steroids. Like, what is this shit? So he said, yeah, I'll put my money where my mouth is. He didn't have any money. He had a shitty record store and a flea market in New Jersey. But he knew he had to fuck. He's like, this is going to be fucking huge. And he was right.
Wow. So what was Anthrax's influence at the time, like music-wise, besides Iron Maiden?
Motorhead and Maiden, certainly.
Kiss? For you only?
Not musically.
Yeah,
no, Charlie and Frankie were huge.
Yeah.
We were at all the same shows in the 70s. But I can't really say musically there, because, certainly you go back and listen to the earliest stuff, it's very obvious, like Motorhead, Maiden, Priest.
Sabbath.
Accept. Yes. Accept. Yeah. Yes. Restless Breaker and Restless and Wild, those two records, big influence. Obviously Motorhead. Well, they had two guitar players at one point, but a lot of Thin Lizzy, all the stuff that had two guitars. Motorhead, in the sense that the speed factor, the kicking it up a notch. I was a huge Ramones fan, because I saw them on like the Sha Na Na TV show when I was a kid.
Wow, Sha Na Na.
Yeah.
And I thought, I was like, who the hell are these guys? And I found out they lived in Forest Hills.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, these guys from Forest Hills are playing that music on a TV show? Like, I didn't even know at that point. I didn't know Kiss was from Queens, too. Because you didn't know. In 1977, 76, like, you didn't know anything about Kiss. No one knew. It was all, they were superheroes. Yeah. But the Ramones are finding out they're from Forest Hills. I'm like, wait, they're in a band from Queens, and they're on TV? And then I went out. I think the first 2 records for sure were out by that point. And I went out and bought those immediately. The first time I got to see them was Queens College, like 78 or something like that, 79.
Wow.
And, but yeah, I was a huge Ramones fan too, because for me, Johnny's rhythm playing was like, that's how I wanted to play guitar. But then like combine that with a guy like Iommi or like Glenn Tipton from Judas Priest, where it's like they're doing like some more of the palm muting and the down, like palm muted down picking instead of the open down picking, and that's kind of just where my style developed.
Yeah.
Malcolm Young from AC/DC, huge AC/DC fan too. I mean, obviously.
Yeah. Oh shit. So the first album was 84.
Yeah, January 84 it came out.
And so you were how old then? 24.
I just turned 20. December 31st is my birthday.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah, so I literally had just turned 20.
They first came out. Wow. And you guys had a fan base built up at that time?
No. I mean, just maybe locally a little bit, because we had played gigs around New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and stuff. But outside of that, no, just word of mouth. And
no demos or nothing.
Yeah, a lot of tape trading.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And we had I forgot, like in probably around October or November of 83, Johnny put out a 7-inch of our song Soldiers of Metal. They did like 1,000 of those and put those out, and they went immediately. Wow. And that was like even before, that was before the album was coming out. So it was kind of like a teaser. And and then we knew we were going on tour in the summer of 84 to open for Raven across the states. And, we got out there, first time playing west of New Jersey, and fucking kids are singing the songs and they're buying our t-shirts and they're headbanging and they're going crazy, and we're seeing like this vibe that we had never seen before at shows not slam dancing yet, because I didn't know it was called. I didn't even know the word mosh yet at this point, but that hadn't crossed over yet. But the level of aggression with headbanging and stuff like that, like by that point already, because Metallica had been through summer of 83, Metallica Raven, and they crossed the states together, and that really kind of kicked down the door for kids to be like, wait, there's like a new sheriff in town, and like this ain't your daddy's heavy metal.
Right.
Yeah, it's a crazy perfect combination of all those influences you said to have like its own style.
Yeah,
because there's nothing like that at the time.
And it was like right around that same time, right around that same time too, like all through 83, probably going into 84 is when I really, like, that's when I discovered New York hardcore. That's when I started listening to Discharge and GBH. Just Discharge and GBH before that. That was definitely probably even 82 because of all that English punk stuff we had gotten into pretty early because we'd see them in the magazines, like all the British rock mags we would read. But New York hardcore at 83, started seeing ads in the Village Voice for all these shows that I would want to go to, because I would get the records. I go to Bleecker Bob's and get stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'd see but same thing, like me and my buddy, this kid Robert, who's a friend of mine from the Bronx, like we were just so into it, and we were like, Agnostic Fred Murphy's Law.
Say that, yeah.
Like they're fucking playing next Sunday. Like, let's just go. And then we'd be like, but what happens? Like, what happens if we fucking get our asses beat? Because we knew other kids that would go to shows, but they didn't have long hair, right. And we would
crazy. That was a thing.
So and we would ask straight up, like, you see any other long hairs? Or like, I'd see like one or two, but they're like guys that had been on the scene for a while. They're like Lower East Side dudes, so everybody knows them.
Wow.
And I'm fucking, I was 5'4", I weighed 115 pounds. I'm like, I'm not going to go down there and get my ass beat. So finally,
to see a show.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy. So finally, it was in 84. At some point, it might have been like, I don't know, August, September of 84. Again, it was Agnostic Front, Murphy's Law. No, I have a picture. It was October. I think it was around Halloween, and Agnostic Front, Murphy's Law. I don't remember maybe Death Before Dishonor. Wow. I can't remember. I don't remember who else was on the bill that Sunday. But me and my buddy Robert were like, Yeah.
Okay.
We're like, fuck it, let's just go. And we had a plan, dude. Like, cause I had gone as far as walking past CBGB's on a Sunday and seeing the crowd outside and being like, fuck no, dude, I ain't going in, right?
Let's get the vibe.
But we saw the layout, and then we figured, all right, here's what we're gonna do. We'll wait for everyone will go, band will go on, everyone goes inside. Smart. As soon as everyone goes in, we'll go in and we'll just hang all the way at the back.
Sure.
And if anyone comes at us, just fucking run. We'll run out the door. Simple as that.
Man.
Like, but we gotta go. We keep missing like all these fucking amazing shows. Like, we were dying to see Agnostic Front, and so that's what we did. We like wait. Everyone went in. This is like for each band. We would wait for everyone to go in, and we'd stand in the back. And it was like before Agnostic Front went on, so we're standing in the back. And then everyone's looking that way. They're not even on yet, but no one's paying attention. No one's paying attention to us. And this guy comes walking. I see him. He's walking towards us. This fucking burly skinhead dude. And I'm like, get ready, dude. Like, get ready, because like he looks angry, right? Like, and I'm like, all right, I'm ready. I'm fucking ready to go. And this guy walks. Hey, I'm like, yeah. He goes, aren't you in that band Anthrax? I'm like, oh fuck, we're dead. Oh, right? I mean, not only do I have long hair, but I play metal too. And I'm like, uh-huh. And he goes, you want to meet the Agnostic Front guys? They'd love to meet you.
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah. He goes, all right, I'll meet you here. I'll meet you back. Come up front. What are you standing back here for? And I was like, because we heard we'd get our asses kicked. He goes, yeah, you probably will, but you're with me now. That was Billy Milano.
Oh shit! Damn, what a sick intro!
Right? Wow. So we went up front and kind of stood on the edge of the pit. I didn't even try and get into that shit at that point, because I was watching. I'm like watching Jimmy dance at that point, and I'm like, I ain't getting anywhere near that, you know. And if you even got around Jimmy's zone, he would just fucking beat the crap out of you. I'm like watching this shit go down in the crowd, and I'm like, this is the fucking best thing I've ever seen in my life. I never fucking felt anything like this. The energy.
Yeah.
And everyone on the stage and the fucking pylons and the sing-alongs. And I was like, and then Billy brings us backstage after, and I'm going to show you the fucking picture after this. I got to meet Roger and Vinny, and everyone was so cool. And I even said to Billy, I was like, thank you so much. And we've been missing shows for a year because we were worried. He goes, yeah, last year I might have beat the crap out of you. What? But I knew you had now I know you're in a band, so I figured why not? You're cool.
Wow.
It's all, everyone's cool.
Why do you think it was so segregated that way?
I fucking know, man.
I don't really know, because everyone I met, because I was from 84 through 86. I was home a lot. We weren't touring a lot yet. I was at every Sunday. I was there on a fucking Christmas Eve with maybe 8 other people to see Adrenaline OD. Like, dude, wow. I fucking lived in that place for 2 years, and everyone I met, everyone was great. I fucking never met anybody that was a fucking dick. So
I agree.
Maybe it was just a thing that was kind of put out there, like they just didn't want the long hairs in the metal scene to literally to pollute, because that's what ended up happening, around 85 when things really started to cross over.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, there's a whole new influx of kids, which is good and bad.
Right.
But I get it. I get it. You'd be in
I think it was inevitable that it was going to happen.
It was, of course it was.
Right.
Sure.
Of course it was.
Yeah.
But, I never felt once, not until later. And the reason I stopped going to shows was, at some point around 87, where the scene had started to change, and a lot of the bands that I had been into in the New York hardcore scene, their sound changed. AF sound had changed. Chromeg sound had changed a lot. And then, you had other bands, like whether it's the Crumbsuckers, who were they were a fucking metal band. And a lot of the sound started to change. So then you had also other bands coming up that were part of more of like this straight edge scene and younger kids. And they seem to want to separate themselves and have their own scene, which I get. Everyone's got to have their own thing.
Yeah.
And suddenly being a metal band, dude, going to shows, I had actually people getting fucking kids. Like I'm an old man at this point. I'm 23, but I'm talking like, you know, teenagers who I could tell were definitely listening to Slayer a month ago, but they just shaved their head. And, you know, and now they're wearing, I don't even know what would be, what 87 was Gorilla Biscuits a band yet? Like I'm trying to, what were the bands around that time?
Youth of
87,
Today.
88. Yeah. Youth of
Yeah.
Today.
Right.
Perfect example. Like a metalhead who just shaved his head wearing a Youth of Today shirt, getting in my face, calling me a poser.
Oh,
And
wow,
I'm like,
man.
dude, I've been coming here for 3 years. I got no beef with anybody. I just come here to see fucking bands playing, hang out with my friends.
Yeah.
And then one night I had 2 dudes follow me home.
What?
On the train. I was living in Forest Hills, and they followed me home. I get off. I could tell already. These two kids are like eyeballing me on the train all the way. They get off at Union Turnpike where I get off, and it's nighttime. It's dark out. They follow me around the corner to where my apartment building is, and finally they're about 20 feet behind me. And I just turned around and I said, you know, "What's up, motherfuckers?" And like, "Fuck you, you know, faggot, blah blah blah, you know, all this shit, you fucking poser, you know." And I said, "Dude, you want to throw down? One of you's getting your ass kicked."
Yeah.
Like, I'm fucking. So come on, come at me. And I just fucking stood my ground, and then they just fucking said, "Fuck you, man." And they turned around and they walked away. But then I was like, I don't need this fucking shit. And then we were leaving to go on tour anyway, and that's like around the same time the
You've had
band
a couple
blew
albums
up.
already at this point.
Yeah, Spreading the Disease was
Yeah.
out,
Oh, man.
and Among the Living like may have just. I mean,
87,
and I know
yeah.
I'm leaving for a year and a half to go on tours. I'm just like, I'm not gonna be here anyway. But it fucking really bummed me out.
Yeah, that's a
you know,
bum out.
totally bummed me out. And then that's even why, like, even like late '80s and then going in the early '90s, like I never really got to go back to CBGB's because it just everything had changed by that point scene wise and then I moved to California. So anyway,
Then you were out of there. Yeah.
So, but
Wow.
yeah, I mean that time in my life, those years from like 84 to 87 and going to those matinees, man, it was just for me like a musical experience was just like, oh,
I guess
fuck,
that would
man,
be like
it was
called
amazing.
like the golden age of that hardcore
Yeah.
type
Right.
scene. You know, it was really
Before it changed and different generations came in, and I think it happens to all kinds of music scenes, though.
I mean,
It
it was
does.
interesting because it was happening, you know, this segregation was happening all in different cities around the U.S. as well. You
Even
know,
in Cleveland, where
even
you
in
were?
Cleveland, yeah. It was
Yeah.
like you would never, those two scenes would never really match up. Like I knew no one from that whole metal scene. But in the mid-'80s, it started to really, that mixture.
Crossover,
Yeah.
But then
man,
this
yeah.
violence
Yeah.
came into the picture
Yeah.
as well.
It was
Like,
like you just had a lot of stupidity.
yeah,
a lot of
definitely.
kids,
especially even on my own side.
a lot of kids that didn't know how to be in a pit. You
Yeah.
know,
Right.
when people would just go in there and start hurting people, and
Yeah.
but because we started, our shows were getting bigger, especially in New York by like '85. Like we would sell out L'Amour's a couple of nights, or we would sell out the Ritz, and you know, security at those clubs had no idea how to handle. So we started bringing. We told Johnny Z, because he was our manager. We said we want to have our own guys. We don't want those local crew dudes there because they're just beating the shit out of kids when they come over the barricade and they try and stage dive, and we want that to be a part of our thing.
Yeah.
And so back in, there was shows from like 85 through 86, like Jimmy put together like a crew. It was like Jimmy and Wrecking Machine and
Wrecking Machine, yeah.
Big Charlie.
Charlie,
Like
rest
those
in peace.
guys would come and work the stage for us.
Wow.
And handle the kids the way they're supposed to be handled.
Yeah.
And it solved all those problems.
Wow.
But they would see, I think of what happened too was, so a lot of like these hardcore guys, they would come to our show and they would come running up, whether they even knew our music or not, but they would come running and stage dive and stuff like that. Metal kids are like taking notes, going like, wait, I never saw that. You can do that?
Wow.
Like you could, how I know, wow, that looks like fun. I'm going to try that too. And then of course, dudes are getting on stage and like tap dancing on your pedal boards and
Yeah, I
running
remember
up,
this. I
running up
remember
and like
this
hugging you and
days.
like
Yes,
trying to
yes.
get your guitar pick while you're in the middle of playing. And it's like, idiot. That's
Right.
not
I
what.
totally remember
Watch
this.
the hardcore guys do it. They come up,
Right. Get
they
the fuck
do a
off.
little dance, and they fucking jump in the crowd. Like, and there's a style to it, and it,
Right.
look,
Totally.
it looks
Yeah.
good. Don't fucking be asking for my pick mid riff. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Let me get a photo back. There's no cameras, but like just fan out and get a pic. Yeah. So different than a hardcore show.
That's
damn.
so
So that
true.
wow. So Among the Living came out with 87.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's said Spreading Disease and Fistful of Metal than that.
And how are people hearing like through college radio?
Yeah, you
like,
guys on the
how
radio?
are people?
Yeah,
from
by that point,
Victoria
yeah,
to
sure. A lot of college radio, and by that point in when Among comes out in I think it was like March of '87, Metallica had already put out Master of Puppets, Slayer had put out Rain and Blood, and Megadeth had put out Peace Sells.
Right. It was.
And then we all within a year, and then we come with Among. So all in 1 year, those 4 records came out, and it's kind of like 1980 for the British bands because Iron Maiden's first record came out, and Motorhead Ace of Spades came out, and Sabbath Heaven and Hell came out, and I forget which Priest album British Steel came out.
Okay.
And so it was like, so now here we are between 86, 87, and all those records come out in 1 year, and the scene just started to blow up. Metallica had already opened for Ozzy across the states.
Damn.
So they had exposed arena-sized audiences to this new, heavier, aggressive sound, and the Ozzy fans were fucking loving it, and they're going out and getting Metallica records and asking the guy in the record store, what else you got like this?
Dude,
Right.
perfect.
And like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
well, there's that Anthrax band, and there's that Slayer band, and there's that Megadeth band, there's that Exodus band, and it's all that, and that's really how it started to spread. Like when we started the Among tour in May of '87 at the Penny Arcade in Rochester, New York. I swear I remember it like it was yesterday, and that was like maybe a 600-700 capacity club, sold out. Like all the shows in that run, everything was sold out.
Crazy, man.
By the end of that year, by December of '87, we had a run of dates booked, like 4 weeks from the end of November into December. It was Anthrax, Exodus, Celtic Frost, and we were playing 2 nights at the Beacon Theater. Like we were playing in Chicago, we played to like 8,000 people. Wow. We were playing, it went from literally, it multiplied by 10 over 8 months or something like that.
Wow,
we started off in front of 700 people, and in December, we're playing to 7,000. It was, and I remember standing, it was at the Aragon Ballroom in Chicago. I think we did 2 nights
venue.
there.
Yeah.
And I'm standing on the side of the stage with Charlie, and we're watching Celtic Frost. And I'm looking out, and there's like, it's fucking packed for the first band, and looking out this sea of heads. And I was like, where did all these people come from? Like, how'd they find out?
Right,
It's the
right.
same question
Yeah,
you asked.
yeah.
Like,
I mean,
just word of mouth, and that wave just
Crazy.
building and building and building and building. And, we're just right album, right time, just to be a part of that.
No, absolutely. I mean, I remember I was one of those kids that were very like in the punk and hardcore scene. And
Only.
But I grew up listening to like other stuff,
Right.
Priest, Rush, everything. But then it was like, no, I'm definitely punk hardcore. Until that changed with, like you said, Metallica bringing something a little heavier. And I was like, this is dirty, clean, but they're playing so well, And I was like, this is amazing. But I remember seeing like, what's this Anthrax, and it was like in a Maximum Rock and Roll, maybe a zine or something, and you had like jam shorts on. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But at first I was like hating on it.
Yeah, the jam shorts was sick.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, it's like bringing something like the phrase like new to the scene. I was like, interested. But then it was like the Judge Dredd, I was like, oh shit, they're doing comic references. I was like, this is fucking badass. And it like really grew on me. But I remember the scene just becoming like more interested in those like heavier bands, like metal bands. I was like, DRI did a crossover album.
Right.
And I was like, whoa, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
And they called it crossover.
They called it
crossover. Agnostic Front on that album were
Liberty and Justice.
Cause for Alarm.
Cause for Alarm.
too.
Yeah.
Definitely like the elements. I
Those
was
two,
like, what's
Totally.
going on?
And then you had, a
Eliminator.
band like in New York. You had like, we did SOD, which was
That's
our
right.
thing. But then you also had like Carnivore in New York, who were like total crossover band, and Crumbsuckers, DRI,
but
Cro-Mags.
they came out like, I mean, They're one of the earlier ones.
Yeah. I mean, they were. What's so weird about Crumbsuckers were, I mean, they were full on New York hardcore band. Yet you see these, it's like, you got Chuck Lenahan with his long blonde hair, and like, it was just. It was such a trip like that. And they're getting on stage and these dudes are fucking ripping really hard lead breaks and like just super muso shit. And yet, but full on Chris the singer, he was a fucking tall hardcore singer guy. And Life of Dreams is still one of my. When we did those Bungle shows last year, we covered Sit There for live for those shows.
I think Danny Lilker, I say his name right?
Lilker.
What?
Lilker.
Yeah. He's responsible for bringing Craig from Sick of It All to his first hardcore show. Like those two hung out a lot back then. Like,
I've been going through photos because we've got this docu-series thing that we've been running online.
Crazy photos, man.
And I found a photo. I've known Craig Sattari. Him and my brother are like the same age, so they went to school together. And I used to hang out with Craig's older brother Scott. So I've known Craig since he's like literally a little kid.
Wow.
Like like kids. But I found this picture. We're in the back of Billy Milano's van. I believe we're out on the way out to the show place out in Dover, New Jersey. I think it was like SOD and Overkill in there's fall of 85. I think one of the 7 shows we played. And in the back of the van, it's like me and Lilker, Charlie, Craig Sattari, Tommy Carroll.
Legend.
And there's like one other. I don't think Gordon was a part of it yet, but I'm looking at his picture. I'm like, well, look at Craig. He's like such a baby in that
crazy,
photo.
Man.
Tommy, and because we would hang out with those guys. This is like when it was like NYC mayhem, like even before Straight Ahead, and they would do Danny, Craig, and Tommy did the Crab Society demo thing.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was like,
wow, man.
We all used to just hang out together.
We listened to a lot of hip hop too. Because you mentioned Run DMC, but obviously getting to Public Enemy and stuff. But you grew up listening to both.
Yeah, as much as metal and hardcore.
And of course, from Queens again,
Yeah. So many.
Yes.
But that Public Enemy song, Bring the Noise, came out on the Less Than Zero soundtrack, right, in 87 originally.
Yes.
And so, obviously, I heard of Anthrax. I saw the videos. I love the energy of it. But it was a Bring the Noise thing for me. They realized, like, holy shit, this is... Because we had Aerosmith Walk This Way, obviously, Run DMC. But this was some other shit. This was like... I don't know. It was more like... stuff more hardcore to me. Because I thought Public Enemy was a punk rock band. Lyrically and everything about them, man.
Well, that was theirs like that when it first came out.
Yeah.
But they name check us in the song where they say Waxes for Anthrax.
That's right.
Still Like a Rock Bells, Ever Forever, Universal Low Cell. Because we had met... Public Enemy became my favorite band. I had an advanced copy of Yo Bum Rush the Show because our friend George, we had a lot of friends who worked at Def Jam.
Yeah.
And so he'd give me an advanced tape of that. And he said, you're going to love this. You're going to shit your pants. The guy Chuck who raps this, the heaviest thing you've ever heard.
Yeah.
And it was. Instantly my favorite band. Like right, that song Right Starter still to this day. Like it makes me want to run down the street and punch people. I get so fucking aggro when I hear it. And
so for them to name check you, like holy shit.
But so then I instantly I'm like, I started wearing the PE shirt on stage.
I can't believe it either.
And shit. And all that, and then then Rebel Without a Pause came, and then sonically it was just the game changer. And then Nation of Millions comes, and Public Enemy didn't know they made the greatest rap record of all time, but I knew it when I first heard it.
Yeah.
And I was always wearing the PE shirt. So one of my buddies, it might have been my friend George, showed Chuck a picture of me on stage at Donington in '87 in front of 80,000 people wearing a Public Enemy shirt, and Chuck was like, "Oh man, respect," And then Chuck came to see us at the Beacon in December of '87. That's when we hit it off. We became friends, and I just always knew. I said, and then Bring the Noise comes and they name check us, and I fucking shit my pants.
I'm like, holy shit! I was so happy.
I was like, when I heard I couldn't believe it, and so I remember saying to him at that point, because we had kind of opened the door for ourselves. I know some of the chronology there was a little weird. Bring the Noise I'd already heard it before I met Chuck, but we had opened the door for ourselves when we did that "I'm the Man" song.
Yeah,
that had come out before that, and. But, that was just us being the worst dumb version of the Beastie Boys because we fucking loved them so much.
Yeah.
And we're not rappers. And, you know, me and my buddy John Rooney wrote that song, taking the piss out of the band. And the whole point of it was just trying to make ourselves laugh and be like, no, that's not dumb enough. It should be stupider than that.
It was fun, though. I remember.
Yeah, well, exactly. It was a complete inside joke.
So bad you're being detention.
Yeah.
That was catchy. I like
complete inside joke, and it blew up. But we had opened the door for ourselves with that. So I knew, like, people would probably embrace us doing something else. But if we do something with Public Enemy, that's going to be serious. This ain't going to be a fun song.
Right.
And I remember saying to Chuck, one of these days, man, because I told him, I said, I need your voice and my guitar in a song together. I have to,
right.
I need that sound. I hear it in my head. I need to, like, and then of course we were able to, back in 1990, then is when we actually recorded.
Oh, wow. A couple years later, yeah.
Yeah.
Why did it take so long, you think? Just you guys are busy and traveling?
Just busy and not coming up with the idea. At some point, I had literally one day started fucking around with transposing the horn sample parts in Bring the Noise, and I just started kind of playing what I thought that sounded like on guitar.
Okay.
Gung, 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 gung. And I was like, wow, that sounds pretty heavy. And then when we were recording Persistence of Time, and we were basically done, and you're like ready to break the drums down. And I said, I got this idea for this arrangement. And me and Frankie and Charlie went out in the room and just kind of banged it out in 20 minutes. Like verse, chorus, bridge, and then tracked it right there. And then we were in LA doing that, and then had to send the cassette in the mail to Chuck.
Wow.
like for him to hear it. And we're just sweating for 5 days, waiting to get it yet? No, I just checked the mail, Scotty. And
there's no uploading it to your computer. And shit. Damn.
And then he heard it, and he's like, yeah, the track is slamming, man. But I don't know. Let me talk to Rick. And he played it for Rick Rubin. And then he gets back to me and he says, we both think it's cool, but wouldn't it be cooler if we did something new, like from the ground up? Because we already did Bring the Noise. What if we wrote something together? And I'm like, that would be great too, but we have to do this. Listen to that, dude. Listen to that track. Come on. It's so fucking great. And then
were you obsessing about this for 3 years?
Pretty much.
Okay. So you finally got to hear it. Yeah.
I had the actual nerve to tell Chuck, no,
Right.
no, let's do this. And
good call, man.
And then 2 days later, he called me back and he said, Scotty, he goes, this shit's undeniable. Let's do it.
Wow.
And now that was
game changer.
That was
bro.
the beginning. That was right there, the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
So how long from that he record it, you release it, and then make the video, all that shit?
We did it all. The track was done by that record came out in 90. So yeah, at some point we recorded 89, 90. It was all done.
Wasn't the
around that time.
Killer Bees compilation?
Yes, that's right. It didn't come out till Killer Bees, right?
That was 91.
So,
yeah.
but it was done not long after Persistence was done. But we knew we weren't going to put that track on the Persistence album because it wouldn't have fit in the context of that record. So we figured let's hold it, and then we'll both release it on our records that come out in 91. Because they put it on their Apocalypse record as well. So, yeah. And then so we knew we had something cool. I mean, for me, it was just this is, if I never do anything, if it's done, if the fucking band is over, I'm happy. This is the fucking best thing I've ever done. And, and everyone's people who are hearing it are freaking out over it and how cool it is. And, so we were out on the Clash of the Titans tour. The summer of 91 was us, Slayer, Megadeth, and Alice in Chains.
Yeah.
And so we had a day off in Chicago. So that was the plan. That was the one day we were able to figure out where we could get the video done. Chuck and Flav had the day off. We had a day off. So Chuck and Flav flew to Chicago. And and we shot the video underneath the L tracks somewhere. I don't remember where in Chicago. But it was fucking crazy. People just showing up,
Damn,
and it was nuts all day, one of those 18-hour video shoots and just playing the song a million times, but I didn't care. It's the only video I liked doing in my whole life because we were playing Bring the Noise with Chuck and Flav and over and over and over and over again. And
Wow.
And it was actually Chuck who told me I didn't want to rap that third and fourth verse because he was like, you should do those other verses. He goes, it would be a true collaboration that way. And I think he might have actually said Joey should do it. And it was like, well, that's probably not going to work. And he goes, you should do it. And I was like, no, what are you, fucking crazy? I'm going to put my voice on a song with your voice?
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't sound more nasally and Jewish. Like, are you fucking, like, that's what people want to hear, the fucking Woody Allen on a track with, like, fuck. And this was back then. I still had a real heavy New York accent.
Yeah.
And he's like, you could do it. You know the words already. I'm like, I do. He goes, you'll fucking nail it. You'll nail it. You'll nail it. And I mean, I got it. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
I thought you did fine.
I cringe a little bit, but I'm okay with it. Doing it live.
Asked you to do it though.
Doing it live. I love doing it live always.
Right.
But doing it on the record it was really hard for me to do. But so we shoot the video that day. And in this van going back to the hotel after we're done, Johnny Z or I think it might have even been Charlie said, "Man, we should take this shit on the road." Did you see that audience reaction of people who don't even know? Like they didn't have any idea who we were because we were in the hood, and it was like mostly a black audience just showing up. Found out Flavor Flav is fucking doing something down the street.
Yeah,
and so it's like a couple of thousand people going fucking crazy. And
wow, man!
And it was like, we should take this on the road. And Chuck was just like, he just looked at me. He's like, Scotty, just call me anytime, anywhere.
Wow, I got goosebumps.
Yeah,
damn.
And so I look at Johnny Z. I say, you heard the man. So then, like, that was in like July of '91, and then we were out on tour together, like starting in like the end of that year. We did the whole U.S. run, like October, November, and then we did Europe, like. January.
How was your
February,
audience for
92.
them? They opened for you, and how was the audience?
It was that tour was Young Black Teenagers.
Yeah, I remember them.
Primus.
What?
And then PE, and then us. But PE and us, it was co-headline. Like we played the same length set and all that.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the night, because they would keep Terminator X's. He had a giant platform he was up on, so that was up the whole time. And at the end we would come out and do Bring the Noise together.
That was a dream for you, man. That must have been a fucking dream.
Right now, I just got chills when I think about
it.
It was, again, just high
magical,
point.
man. And your
let me rewind 1 second.
Go ahead.
That summer on the Clash tour, which was that was the biggest, certainly thrash metal tour ever, because you had us, Slayer, and Megadeth, and we're playing arenas and sheds, and we're playing sold out Madison Square Garden, and we're closing that night because it was a 3-band headline. Alice in Chains opened it, but the three of us would rotate, and they based it around in New York, Anthrax will close, in LA, Slayer will close, and for some reason Megadeth got SF. Because Dave was in Metallica and blah blah blah. But anyway, and also SF being the best metal audience, so it was good for them anyway. But so we decided that night at the Garden. We asked Chuck and Flav if they would come do Bring the Noise with us for the first time ever live as our encore in front of 18,000, Anthrax, Slayer, Megadeth fans. Not one, maybe my buddy George, who was out in the audience, who worked for Def Jam. Like George Summers, not only was the only black guy in the metal, or the only hip hop head there at Madison Square Garden that night. And
holy shit.
And although I think Rick was there that night too, but so we get to the end of our set and the show went fucking kill. We couldn't believe we headlined Madison Square Garden, right? And then we got a surprise for you, blah, blah, from fucking Public Enemy, Chuck D and Flavor Flav, Bring the Noise, and we fucking kick in. And man, if I tell you, look, I'm a fucking hardcore Slayer fan. Like, I've loved that band since day one. I think for me, of our generation, they're the best metal band like ever. Like just what they created, the thing that they did it so well, and and just they're the fucking best. They tore the Garden a fucking new asshole that night, and I was actually worried because we were closing, thinking like we gotta fucking follow that. Kids just ripped 8,000 seat cushions off and had a fucking war with them. They had to stop. It was nuts. And I'm like, nobody's even going to care. But our show went good. And then Chuck D and Flavor Flav come out, and we fucking kick into that song. And dude, it was the most energy I have ever felt on stage in my whole life, still to this day.
What? Are you serious?
I never felt anything like what happened in that room when those fucking guys walked on stage. And that New York, New Jersey,
hell yeah,
like whether or not they fucking cared. All of a sudden, here's these two dudes that they'd seen on MTV a million times singing Fight the Power, and they're up there with fucking Anthrax, and we're yelling, bring the noise, and it was just fucking... It's like someone fucking blew...
Me too again, right?
That fucking cliche of blowing the roof off, it literally happened, and then that's when I was like, man, this fucking tour is going to be crazy. In the fall. And it was amazing.
Damn. So yeah, obviously your fans loved them on the tour. Yeah, open-minded.
Yeah. It was cool because Primus kind of hadn't blown up yet, but people fucking loved them.
Yeah.
And then PE would come on, and you'd see. So we'd play like at the gymnasium in like University of Connecticut. So it's like 10,000 people. You'd see the whole from the stage to like halfway back. You could see it was their crowd. And then you could see like our crowd, the demarcation line from like half, a little bit of a mixture, but mostly, 90% PE fans, then 90% Anthrax fans. And then they would be done and we would come on and they would just kind of change sides.
Wow.
And then, but people knew we were going to do Bring the Noise, and nobody left.
Dang. That's pretty awesome too.
So cool.
Wow. So that must have really helped both your bands as far as careers-wise, different audience and stuff too. Public Enemy to a whole different audience.
I took definitely for them, I think, for sure. And after the first few shows, I was talking to Chuck and I said, not a lot of black kids. And he's like, oh no, Scotty, man. He said, black kids come out if we're on a hip hop tour. He said, but when we play with rock, because they had done a tour with like Sisters of Mercy before. Whoa. And like they were out with Beastie Boys and stuff like that. And he said, it'll be our audience. We have a massive white audience too. He said, and it's true. Like I would say at the most on any show, maybe 10% black people out in the crowd. It was a white audience.
Yeah.
It was a huge white hip hop audience.
Singing all the words, loving it. Yeah.
And so I don't know that it, maybe in that moment and that record, Attack of the Killer Bees, probably, because it sold really well. And so we probably had a lot of new people buying that record, but I don't know that those fans carried over to the next record because we didn't have a rap song on it. So, can't say for sure, but I don't know that it certainly didn't open up, because in my head, in my dream scenario was this was going to be like 50-50 and we were going to truly cross over and like we were going to get a whole generation of black teenagers into metal, because it's so much about your environment. And you're a black kid growing up where you grow up and where you go to school. Most of the percentages, you're probably not going to hear a lot of fucking Iron Maiden. It's just the way it is. And vice versa, except I grew up in Queens, so I happen to be surrounded by hip hop.
Yeah.
And but that wasn't the case. Like I had this dream that like heavy metal is gonna be for everybody. Chuck D started. I told him, he's like laughing at me. He's like it's a nice dream.
But that song together put you guys in a different spotlight for sure. For sure, put you in a new spotlight, right?
Yeah, it did, for sure. We had everybody asking us. Our label, we had just signed to Elektra. We had been on Island Records that whole time, leading up to that. And so now we're going to Elektra, and like the first thing they wanted, they were like, so you're going to do another song with Public Enemy?
Wow, man.
Well, we don't have an idea at this point. And, because we already had the record written pretty much for Sound of White Noise. And like, no, probably not, because we just did that. It was kind of weird if we just like, they're like, well, what about just you'll do another rap song though, right? Like, well, we're not a rap band. If we have an idea that we get behind, that we feel as strong about as we did I'm the Man or Bring the Noise, then the answer is yes. But until that happens, and
wow,
they were like, fuck, if we had Bring the Noise, we would have sold 10 million, blah, 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 all this shit. And they're like, well, whatever, we'll let you know, certainly, but we didn't have another rap song. We got asked to be on that Judgment Night soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was after Bring the Noise.
Oh, it was, yeah.
They're like trying to pair us up with different people. And
who were some of the acts?
I don't want to say.
Okay, I got you.
But no, because our attitude was we just worked with the best. Like in our opinion.
Yeah, definitely fact.
Yeah.
For me, there's no better than Chuck and Public Enemy.
Right.
We did that. Anything that you're offering us right now is a step down. Yeah. Well, and why do we want to? We did this on our own. Why do we now want to be on a record?
Totally
and don't get me wrong, I love like 5 of the songs on that album. I think are fucking
there's
great.
some bangers on there.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, man.
Like I think that Faith No More Booyah Tribe. Who's House of Pain with again?
Was that Helmet?
Helmet and House of Pain. Fucking ripping track.
Fire, yeah.
There's some great tracks on that record, but we were like, we just did it. Like we don't want to. We don't want to do it again.
I think the next after that was years later with Biohazard Onyx, the Biohazard Slam remix.
I hate to jump back, but
go ahead.
Where did SOD come into play? Like in the whole line of like what was going on? Like you're working on Anthrax, you're building it up.
SOD was 1985. Speaking English.
So
yes.
that, okay.
It was when
check my notes, son.
Okay. After let me make sure Pearl hasn't texted me. After Joey. Oh wait. 13 minutes ago. Sorry, let me just write her back. They just finished that Golden Apple.
Oh, good.
I'll tell her to come back. How much longer do you think we're going to go?
It's up to you, man. We can, if you have stuff to do, we can, this could be a part 1. It doesn't matter.
That's true.
Yeah.
That would be great.
We always do shit like that.
So let's say 30 minutes.
Sure. People love part 1s and 2s. They love that shit.
They love it, yeah.
We do it all the time. This is fun, though. This is great, man.
Yeah, it's like, wow.
Thank you, man.
SOD. So Joey had joined the band in late 84. Okay. And then, so we're already making Spreading the Disease.
And Danny was where in the pit? Like what?
Well, Danny Looker was out of the band from, he got fired by the original singer Neil like a week before Fistful of Metal came out in January of 84. Okay. But, so we're making Spreading the Disease, and I had a lot of time on my hands. We're up in Ithaca, New York, recording. And I was already done with my guitar tracks. But I'm just hanging out there, and Joey's singing, and there's still leads being done, and I just had a lot of time on my hands. And I'm a big comic book guy, so I came up with this idea for this character. I started drawing this zombie guy who looked the military zombie-looking guy who hated. He wasn't racist. He hated everything living. He hated flowers. He hated puppies. Anything that lives, he hates. And I would draw these like comic book strips of him, like, and hang them up around the studio because I was so bored, and just to make people laugh. Really politically incorrect comics of this Sergeant D guy.
The logo, yeah.
Like this guy walking into the DMV, and like the guy's, he's trying to get his license renewed, and the guy doesn't speak the right language, so he shoots him in the head. And it's like just totally politically incorrect. But like I said, it was a case of like I would draw a thing like where he'd be throwing puppies into a bag and drowning them in the river, because it was like anything alive he hated, and just super dark, shitty, comic strips, and a terrible artist, scratchy drawings and all that, but everyone seemed to be laughing at them a lot, and so that shows you where everyone involved was at, and so I didn't know how to make a comic book. But I knew how to make a record, so I started writing lyrics based around a lot of these comic strips I had. Songs like Kill Yourself and Speak English or Die and Freddy Krueger. And I think there was one where like Sergeant D, because Nightmare on Elm Street was all the rage, and like Freddy Krueger, Sergeant D's like, fuck that pussy, like Sergeant D, he kills Freddy Krueger in a, one of those little things I drew. And technically, Freddy Krueger wasn't alive, though, so they should have been friends. But so I started writing these songs and these riffs, and it very much just directly influenced by Suicidal Tendencies and DRI and Agnostic Front and AOD and Corrosion and all the stuff, the stuff we were listening to. And but it was just, I guess, sounding metal because it's me playing it, right? So I had like 9 or 10 of these really fast, short songs written. And then I called Ilker. And I said, hey, man, because he was totally into hardcore too.
Yeah.
And already getting into like extreme metal. Like he's the first dude who ever I knew in the whole planet who had even knew what black metal was. Like, and death metal. He was into all extreme music before anyone. And
Brutal Truth is on his bands, right?
Yeah. And I said, hey, I'm writing these crazy songs. They're really short, really fast. I think you dig this, and I'm kind of stuck. It would be cool if you want to come up here. Maybe we could, work on it and write more. And this was also my way to get back together with Danny, because I'm literally heartbroken over what happened with him in the context of Anthrax and the old singer firing him, and he was my best friend. And
wow.
So he was like, yeah, cool. And he got on a bus and came up to Ithaca, and we spent like the next couple of days just laughing our asses off writing these insane songs. And we figured, all right, we kind of have something cool here. And I remember we made a demo because we figured, all right, we got to figure out a way to how we're going to put this out. We got to get Johnny Z to put this out on Megaforce, right? So at some point, me, Charlie, and Frankie recorded while we were in Ithaca. I think Danny had gone home, and the three of us recorded because all our gear was still set up. We recorded Hear Nothing, See Nothing, Say Nothing from Discharge, and Last Warning from Agnostic Front, with me singing the 2 songs. And we sent that to Johnny Z, just saying, hey, we got this idea for like this kind of more hardcore sounding, more like extreme like metal sounding thing, and here's an idea of what it would sound like. And he fucking loved it. He's like, his head was blowing up. He like called me at the studio. This is amazing. By the way, how many songs do you have? I said, we wrote like 20 songs. He's 20 songs. That's crazy. I'm like, well, most of them are like a minute long, but
DRI style.
Yeah. But he's like, when could you do it? Blah blah blah. And so that was that's how it came together. So it's the day we finished Spreading the Disease, the day we finished mixing that record was June 30th, 1985. And then on July 1st, SOD rehearsed for the first time in the studio. Billy had come up to Ithaca. Danny was back up there. So on July 1st, we rehearsed. We just fucking ripped through the shit over and over and over again. July 2nd and 3rd, we recorded everything and took off July 4th for a barbecue, and then mixed the whole thing on the 5th. So we made it did it in 3 days.
So it's like the song was like a joke. It's just something you came up with. It was like a character that became
it was just a really brutally dark comic book character that turned into these really brutal metal songs.
So did you tour on it?
We played 7 shows in 85, in fall of 85, just local. Like us and Overkill did like a weekend together, like Jersey. Like I think we did like City Gardens maybe, and
City Gardens
and the Showplace and L'Amour's, like something like that. And then we did like 3 shows together with Suicidal, East Coast again, same thing, New York, New Jersey, maybe Connecticut. And then the last show we played was December 85 at the Ritz. It was Cro-Mags, SOD, Wendy-O, and Motorhead.
Wow.
Cro-Mags ended up not playing that night because something happened with Motorhead soundcheck and Lemmy. I don't know what happened, but everything ran so late, and they actually had to bump the Cro-Mags off the show, which was a bummer.
Wow.
But and then we didn't do anything again with SOD until the new Ritz show with the Studio 50, where they reopened the Ritz at Studio 54.
Oh yeah.
And we did that show in 92, and that's the one we filmed that came out. We called it Live at Budokan because we're assholes. And people still to this day, I'll fucking do an interview, and someone will say, I just got to ask you, what was it like to play the legendary Budokan Arena in Tokyo with SOD? And I just go with it. I'm like, oh my, we couldn't believe it because we were nothing, and we, in Japan, we were literally big in Japan, like, the old cliche, and people are idiots.
What is MOD another band too?
Yeah.
MOD was the band Billy started after SOD.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just remember at that time when SOD came out, I was like, why aren't they ever touring? Like, I don't get
because we were too busy with Anthrax.
I mean,
yeah, going in going at that point.
As a kid, I was just like, I had the shirt and I was like, what the fuck? And it's funny because the songs are totally outrageous. Like, I don't know if SOD. Do you think SOD could come out now and people could get the
those
humor?
exact songs
in this PC world?
Well, no. Well, Speak English or Die. No, obviously, if a new band today, no matter what the story was behind it, no matter if you were saying, by the way, we're making fun of Nazis,
right? That's how I interpreted
exactly.
As a kid. Yeah, like back then, people were like, "Yo, this is really," but they weren't really questioning that hard. I remember just being like, "This is
back
a joke."
then.
Yeah,
in the wrong way, we got attention because pretty much from 85 to well into the 90s, Johnny Z's office would get Christmas cards from white power organizations.
Oh my God.
Because they thought we really were. And, Billy couldn't have been more further from that. I mean, it was one thing I got to tell you when any time we ever got to do, because finally 99, 2000, we did tour finally.
Okay. Yeah.
We got to go out and do a full U.S. run, and we got to go to Japan, and we played European festivals and all that. And, I remember seeing you guys.
Yeah.
I got pictures of us. You guys were in the black metal stuff.
Exactly.
And anytime I ever got to be on stage with Billy, talk about feeling safe.
Yeah.
And feeling invincible was being on stage with Billy Milano, because man, nobody's gonna fuck with you.
Stage.
I remember, I think it was Rhode Island. We found out someone was literally robbing our dressing room at some show in Rhode Island on that '99 tour while we were playing. Like, someone said, there's a dude in your dressing room. He's going through all your shit. Billy just fucking ran off. Fucking, it was so great. Like, in the middle, just bang, drops the microphone. Fucking goes running in there. You could literally hear like a fucking cartoon. And they fucking, the security guy, he grabbed the dude, just fucking started pounding on him. I'm like, yeah, that shit doesn't happen with Anthrax.
Holy shit. Wow. A couple things I want to talk about, too, is your Stephen King love. Like Among the Living and A Skeleton in the Closet and Lone Justice and Breathe Lightning. They're all based off of like...
Oh, wait. What? Sorry, what's your address? Sorry.
14...
Again. Oh, yeah. Wait, I have it.
Check your text.
Yeah, I have it.
What hood is this?
Well, it's not live.
Put it out there. You can edit it.
He knows it's on there, Scott?
Yeah, I got it.
And this guy's a fucking poker player, too.
Oh, man.
World Series 2009.
To bring that up in...
Poker main event.
That's
I
right.
love poker.
And he loves Battlestar Galactica, Doctor Who.
I cashed that first main event.
You did?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
Came in like 637th out of 7,000 people, whatever it was.
Wow.
4 days. One of the hardest things mentally and physically I ever had to go through.
You still play poker?
Online poker went away. In America, it became illegal on April 15th, 2011. But who's keeping score? It was a big deal for me. I'd literally I had gotten signed up by this poker site back then, online poker site. Yeah. Basically, I didn't even know how to play, but because they figured, well, if we sign you up, maybe people will want to sign up and play with you.
Yeah.
So they just wanted me as a face, but I said, well, if I'm going to be a face, I want poker lessons, and they said sure, and I started taking poker lessons with Annie Duke, and within 3 months, online poker became an ATM machine for me.
Wow.
And then I told you earlier, I'm a math brain.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
And it's all about math.
Math.
And once you learn the math and you stick to the math, you will always have an edge, and you will be a winning poker player.
Is it addicting?
So it's addictive. Yeah, I think so.
Winning money?
Yeah. Just playing poker in
and
general.
I am 100% not a gambler. I'm the guy, like, anytime the band would get to Vegas, other dudes are running for the craps tables, and I'm just like going to find a restaurant. I am not a gambler. The idea of losing money is fucking anathema. I'm like, fuck that. If I'm not losing $100. Like, it's not fun for me. I'll go spend that $100 on comics,
right.
or on booze or whatever, good food. But to sit here at a table for 8 minutes and that fucking money's gone, fuck that. Poker to me was never gambling, and that's the first thing any real poker player will tell you. Whoa. Poker is not gambling; it's a fucking skill. It's a game of skill, and I quickly learned that and looked at it only in that way.
That's awesome.
And so between like like 07 and 11 when the government shut all the sites down. There was a point in time where I was playing 80 hours a week online.
Wow.
Like we'd be on tour and I was playing during, this is how you want to talk addicting. I had my laptop open on the side of the stage during shows. I would be in tournament and in between songs, and I would have my tech. I actually taught my tech basics, and I would tell them, all right, whenever the hand comes to me, just do this. Like if anyone else, like whatever, if someone does a big raise, unless I have aces or kings or whatever, just fold. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I'll be back here in 4 minutes, and then I'll figure out what's happening. Like, dude, I'm telling you, I was playing 80 hours a week online. Wow. I would have at home. I had a big monitor. I would play these things called sit and goes, which are just like six or six people at a table. I'd play 6-seat turbo sit and goes, which is just like you're just playing it. It's like a mini tournament that's over in 15 minutes basically because the blinds go up super fast.
Okay,
and I would have 15 of them open. I'd be playing like 15 tables at the same time. Like
wow,
it was it was amazing.
So when was the last time you played?
Amazing. Like for real played, because I play in a local home game, which was in person before COVID. Then we moved it online, but it's $40.
Yeah.
It's with a bunch of dudes who we just talk a lot of shit. But for real played, it's been a few years. I played in a charity tournament in Beverly Hills that I got invited to. I don't know, maybe 6-7 years ago.
Okay.
And it came in second out of like 200 people
awesome.
or something. And I thought my prize was a seat in the World Series main event, which is like that's worth $10,000 to get that seat. And then something happened with it, and next thing you know, they're handing me these 2 gold fountain pens, which I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do with this? Like, really? And it's funny because I just saw that because I've been going through bins and bins of shit lately because of that docuseries thing we got going on. So I've been going through old photos, all kinds of shit. I haven't opened a bin, and I saw those 2 fucking pens. Sitting there in these boxes, which someone told me those pens are probably worth thousands. No, I checked it out. It was like these fucking $100 pens.
Oh my God.
So I said, you know what? Someday there'll be a piece of paper that I need to sign that's important enough to bust out the fancy pen.
These episodes, they started on May 3rd, right? They go all the way to July 18th. Up into a live stream, right?
Our docuseries is every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're going to take off Memorial Day that Monday, but every Monday, Wednesday, Friday until the live stream, which is July 17th, it's going to premiere. And I'll also say, when do you think this is going to be on?
Whenever you want it to drop, man.
Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We're up to Among the Living right now. The second episode of Among the Living aired on Wednesday. So each album gets 3 episodes, basically, all the way through till the last album, For All Kings, and then we do the live stream.
And where's the live stream going to be from?
It'll be out here.
Okay.
Yeah, we're shooting it here.
Is your first live stream you guys done?
I did one with Bungle.
Okay.
First one with Anthrax, yeah.
You know,
we're going to need a part 2.
Jesus, there's so many things. Because that Bungle record was amazing. Yeah. My son was actually turning me on to it and listening to it. And that came out, when did that come out? 2020, right? During the pandemic?
It came out, wasn't around Halloween of last
year?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny demo?
Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny demo.
And what does that mean?
Those Bungle guys, they did a demo back in like 1985, 86 called The Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny. And it was this really, really almost unlistenable sound quality demo, but of these raging fucking thrash metal songs, doing shit like playing riffs and stuff that if people would have known about them then, like if that record would have come out in 85, they would have been right there with us and Slayer and Metallica, Megadeth, Exodus, all of that. But this was just this really, really, really low quality. You could barely make out a lot of the times what's happening, and you got Mike Patton just doing this insane shit over it, and which is in a great way, and which made it really different. And they decided they wanted to revisit the Raging Wrath back a couple of years ago when I can't remember but it was like Patton was at a festival, and it was one of the bands that Lombardo was in with him, so it might have been Phantomos, and Trey and Trevor, the guitar player and bass player from Bungle, were at a festival with their band. I think it might have been Secret Chiefs or something. They were all at a show together.
Yeah.
And they were all standing backstage. And I think it might have been Trevor who said, man, imagine if this lineup re-recorded Raging Wrath, because with Lombardo on drums. Because that's what they were influenced by to write those songs.
Yeah.
It was us and Slayer and Exodus and Possessed and all that like early 80s thrash stuff. And so it just kind of happened. And then slowly but surely that little, kernel of an idea it took hold. And then at some point they asked Dave if he would be into it, and he said yeah. And then out of the blue, it was like around July of 19, Mike texted me and he asked me, he said, hey, we're thinking about re-recording Raging Wrath. Remember that shit? And I'm like, yeah, I had a copy of it back then. And he said, yeah, we want to re-record it, but we'll only do it if you and Lombardo do it with us.
Wow.
Because then it makes sense.
Right.
And I was like, well, I'd fucking play on a record with you if we were just literally making fart noises with our armpits. Anything. Well,
yeah, he's amazing.
Definitely.
Faith No More was my favorite band of the 90s. I'm such a fucking whore for Mike Patton. Like, everything he's ever done. And I fucking
it's
love
an honor
it.
for you. It's
I
awesome.
love that dude.
Yeah.
So, I was like, yes. And he goes, well, good, because Dave already said yes, too. So.
Oh, man.
and that's how it happened. And then I started listening to that old demo, and I'm like, hold on. I can't fucking make heads or tails of any of these riffs. How am I supposed to? And then Trey and Trevor started sending me videos of how to play this stuff, and then I got tennis elbow.
And you played a couple shows with them already?
We played shows in February of 20, right before. Yeah, we had 7 shows, 3 here at the Fonda, 2 at the Warfield in SF, and 2 at Brooklyn Steel in New York, and all the shit sold out in like 8 seconds. And they're so funny. They're like their manager, who's been with Mike forever. Yeah. He's like, we're with Greg Workman.
Oh, okay, Greg.
And Greg's like the guy. Him and Mike own Ipecac together.
Okay.
And Greg's like, we're thinking about maybe we'll do a show in L.A. Like, we're thinking about doing the Troubadour. And I said, well, as like a secret thing or. And he goes, no, as a show, just to see, like, gauge the interest of. And I said, are you kidding me? I said, I'm telling you right now, as a fan, the biggest Mr. Bungle fan, I am telling you that you would have to do like 40 nights, and you could play the whole year. And he's like, you think so? Yeah. He goes, they haven't done anything in 20 years. I said, that all the more reason, dude. And he goes, all right, let me talk to the agent and the promoters, and then he's like, they're thinking about moving it to the Fonda. It's like, 1,200 cap room. And I'm like, still too small unless you want to do multiple nights. And then he comes back. Now they're talking like 3 nights at the Fonda. And I'm like, I said, let's just fucking cut the bullshit.
Right.
If you put the Forum on sale, it would probably sell out. But I know we don't want to do that kind of a venue. So you could probably easily do 3 or 4 Palladiums.
Totally.
Really, and, of course, that's what happened. Like the 3 Fondas sold out in 8 seconds.
Wow.
2 Warfields is like 7,000 people, instantly sold out. Wow. And then the 2 New York shows instantly. And now the promoters are like, we want 3 more at the Fonda. We want 3 more at the... And they had us like where we were literally playing these 3 venues for a month. Like all these nights. Dude. And the phone's ringing off the hook all around the planet. Bungle, everyone, And I told you.
That's amazing.
That's
but the plan is, we're doing Riot Fest
in
Chicago, so we're super excited about that. And
it's a great fest.
And we're definitely looking, everyone's having so much fun doing it. And what's cool is we could do it anytime. It's not like where we have to worry about having a record out. Like the record's out and we could do it anytime. Mm-hmm. So at in 22, I think I could safely say there will be more Bungle shows. And we're hoping, at least get to go everywhere once. And, it would be great to go to Australia. It would be great to go to South America. Mike Patton's like literally the fucking mayor of Chile.
Yeah.
I mean,
really?
Oh my God. He could go,
Definitely.
Mike Patton could book a show in probably like an arena of him reading poetry and it would sell 20,000 tickets.
True.
Why is he from there?
No, but
people love him.
Faith No More and just everything he's done. He is like the god in Chile.
Oh yeah!
Wow.
We played a stadium with them, like Faith No More. And,
you did?
Like theater show, just seeing them, and it's just like people go.
Shit. It's crazy.
ape shit.
Wow.
He's speaking Spanish.
Yeah, he speaks Spanish fluently. He speaks Italian fluently.
Is he from out here?
They're from way up north and way up north in California. Oh my God, I can't remember the name of the night they came home.
Love Faith No More, man, when they came out, man.
Oh my God, I can't remember the name of that weird little town
up north.
There. Yeah,
you're good with history.
Eureka.
Too. You have you have a great memory though, man.
I think Eureka.
You got a great memory, like times and dates and all that stuff. Yeah, man.
I saw on Jeopardy, and it's just like
I did Rock and Roll Jeopardy once.
Killed it.
People
it was
didn't
me.
even get a word in.
It was me and Jeff, the singer of Queensryche, and Adrian, the drummer of No Doubt. And I figured, I was like, I knew Adrian. We had met a couple of times, but I thought, well, Jeff seems like a real smart dude because their lyrics go way over my head, and I never got that band. But I know I'm pretty good with pop culture and trivia and whatnot. And yeah, I fucking destroyed. I had like I had like 20 something. And we all went to charity. I had like $20-something thousand, and I think Jeff Tate had about 400, and Adrian was like negative something. I felt bad. I literally answered every question for about 15 minutes.
Killed it.
I was like, damn.
It was fucking crazy.
Holy shit.
I was like, can I get on real Jeopardy and actually make the money? Like,
wow.
I'd be rich after a week.
Are you a fan of Jeopardy too?
Yeah, always. Yeah, since I was a kid. My mom watched it, so we always watched it like eating dinner.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we should end it because he's going to go, but part one right now. That should be part one, right, Derek?
Yeah.
Great.
More questions.
There's so much to talk about.
I know. This is so great, dude. We're going fast, but there's so much more, but I really appreciate your time.
Endless Big Four stuff. And
my God, there's so much.
You want to talk about the John Bush years.
But we can drop a part one and drop part two.
Awesome.
All in time with everything they have going on with their 40th anniversary. And that's in July, right?
Yeah, because that's when the live stream is July. The date is the 18th, but that's a Sunday, so we're start doing it on the 17th.
Okay. Is there an Anthrax show this year, you said?
Yeah, we have one-off starting in Rockfest in Cadott, Wisconsin.
Okay.
It's like
starting in July.
Like one show a month almost.
Yeah, and then I think we have a show in Sturgis in August. I think it's us and Black Label Society. And then September is kind of the busier month because I think we have 2 Anthrax festivals in September. I know one of them is that Louder Than Life in Louisville. And then I have Riot Fest with Bungle, and there's another Anthrax one maybe in, I think it's Oklahoma City or Tulsa. And then October, there's a big Wimmer one, the Aftershock up in Sacramento. And then November.
I saw that one's crazy. Metallica and all those bands, Offspring.
Yeah, and then November, Welcome to Rockville, same thing. Wimmer
same
with
one,
Metallica and a lot of the same bands. We're on in November, the November one, Rockville in Daytona Beach. We're on one of the Metallica days. That one's our day's really good too. Wait, no, that's not the one. What's the one I just saw we're on? It's like, oh man, wait, is it Metallica and Lynyrd Skynyrd and us?
Wow.
And I can't remember. There's one festival. We played a bunch of festivals with Lynyrd Skynyrd in Europe, summer of 19, like real metal. What's Jesus Christ, what's the big French one? Hellfest.
Hellfest, yeah.
Like Hellfest.
That's huge, man. Yeah,
and like
Lynyrd Skynyrd
and
Hellfest.
We're all in the hotel. I see like Ricky Medlock, and I'm like, bro, like, what's up? And he's like, yeah, man. It's like, it's so weird. We're playing all these. We thought people were gonna hate us, and these metal audiences are loving it. And I'm like, dude, everybody loves fucking Lynyrd Skynyrd. I mean, you fucking can't. Are you kidding me? You guys have like 20 songs that everybody at this show knows.
Oh yeah, absolutely, like, no doubt about that.
Yeah, it's like, and they're so fucking good. They're like, just, you watch those guys play, and there's something about watching old cats like who just didn't really hurt themselves too much, over the years with substances. And man, you watch some of these dudes play, and it's just that fucking. I know no one can see my hand right now, but I'm doing like left hand guitar, air guitar, and there's just like a greasiness and a like that. Just and a surety and a. Mm-hmm. When you watch guys like that play, the feeling that comes from dudes, that have been doing it since the 60s, and it's just so incredible watching some of those guys go at it.
Definitely
and
with that
fucking
level.
I don't even know who it's not the original keyboard player because he died, but they got some dude playing keys up there who I would sit there for fucking 10 hours and just watch this guy solo. It's just so mind blowing how good these dudes are, and they're playing 25 fucking songs that I love. Like all the hits. It's so great.
I was gonna say you aged well. It didn't seem like you partied a lot because
I didn't. I was.
I could tell. He's aged really
I was
well.
never straight edge on purpose, but I got so fucked up on shitty vodka on my 18th drinking age. When I turned 18, drinking age in New York was 18 still, and not that I didn't drink till then. I mean, I had a fake ID when I was like 15, but I never cared so much. I drink beer with my friends. I never got fucked up. But on my 18th birthday, I'm New Year's Eve is my birthday. Yep. So I was at a big party at my friend's house in my mom's building. Like, so all I had to do was literally go one flight up and I'm back in my bed and drinking cheap vodka and orange juice. And I had alcohol poisoning. I was sick for like 4 or 5 days, like bad sick. And so after that, even the smell of a beer turned my stomach. And in a way, it was a great thing to happen to me because all those formative years of the band, I was sober. Like I said, not for any kind of creed or anything, just because it turned my stomach. And it took years. Like, you start hanging out with other bands and stuff. And, the Metallica guys, I mean, their nickname was Alcoholica. Yeah. And the Slayer guys fucking raged. Every other band we met fucking raged. Even our guys, Charlie and Frankie, they would nurse beers. Danny and Joey back in the day, singer and lead guitar player, those guys would get a little more fucked. They would actually drink. Like, they were suburban dudes. Like, it was more like everyone I knew in the city was like, I didn't really know anyone who partied that hard. I don't know if it was just my age group in that moment, but I got really good over the years as I fucking nurse a beer for 3 hours. Like, because my trick was I'd have like a couple of sips, and as soon as it started getting warm, I'd go get another cold one and have like 1 or 2 sips off that. So people think I'm drinking like multiple beers, but literally it add up to like 1 beer over the course of hours. Wow. That was my trick.
And no weed or drugs and shit like that for you partying?
No, I hated weed. It made me feel shitty. As a kid, like as a teenager, all my friends would be stoked. Can't wait to get stoned. They'd have the best time. I would take the smallest little hit of a joint and just get paranoid and feel like shit. I never got it. And then in the late 80s, early 90s, the last couple of times, because I always loved the smell of weed, and I'll make this real quick. Last time I smoked weed was on a bus with House of Pain guys. It was on the House of Pain Cypress Hill tour in like 92.
Great tour. I remember going to that tour,
Something like that. And we were in Tampa shooting a video, and they were playing, and we went down to that show, and I'm on the bus with Everlast and Danny and with a couple of my friends who had flown out. I was living in Huntington Beach at the time. A couple of my friends flew out to be in the video shoot, and they have a 6-foot bong. As of course it's fucking House of Pain. So
of course they would.
And I'm watching these dudes, and it's 6 feet long, and like a couple of them could actually hit it once and get the smoke all the way up,
Wow.
But some dudes would like hit it, and the smoke would get here, and then they'd cap it, and then take a breath. And then hit it again. Eventually, the smoke would reach them. So it smelled so good, and I was all wired because we had literally flown like Tokyo to Tampa, which we had like endless flights, and it was like 40 hours of drinking coffee, and I was pretty wired, and the weed smelled so good, and I was like, I should just if I take the tiniest little baby fucking hit off of that smoke,
out of a bomb.
It'll probably come. I'm talking like fucking, like the tiniest baby like thing. And
nursing the bong.
So I get on it, and it literally took me fucking 10 minutes for fucking smoke to even like, and finally, so the smoke's like leaking out the side of my hand, right?
Oh shit!
And I kind of got my mouth in there and took a tiny little hit off it, and I fucking ended up passing out and having a seizure on their bus. Yeah. And it had happened to me before, serious? 2 other times over a span of like 3 or 4 years. But I never connected it to the weed because every time it was also in a situation where I had really run myself ragged.
Run down.
Like run down, dehydrated. Okay. And I always just chalked it up to dehydration. And
holy shit.
And I feel it coming. I know I'm going to pass out, right? I feel it like the wall is closing in. And I'm like, this has happened before, right? And Everlast is like, dude, you're going to be okay. It's just really strong. Like, here, drink this orange juice. I drank. I go, it's not going to stop it. It's like, it can't be stopped. I'm going to pass out. And my buddy Rich, who was with me, he had been there the last time. He fucking runs off the bus to the venue to go find paramedics, right? Because we're sitting in the parking lot at this venue. And And he's like, calm down. You're going to be, because everyone else on the bus is high as fuck.
Yeah.
And now there's me going, I'm going to pass out. I'm going to have a seizure. I'm fucking up. They're all freaking out, right? And I remember like I stood up and Eric Everlast was standing right in front of me. And the next thing I know, I'm laying on the floor of the bus and my buddy Bobby is on top of me and he's like punching me in the chest because he was so high he thought my heart had stopped and I wasn't breathing. And I'm like, my chest is hurting because he's fucking pounding on me. I'm like, would you stop hitting me? Like, what happened? And he goes, you fucking dropped. Like, Eric caught me. Like, all of a sudden, I just fell, and he caught me.
Holy shit.
And they were all, I was like, how long was I out? And they're like, they're like, I don't know, 30 seconds. One guy's 5 minutes. Like, nobody fucking knows. So I'm like, what? So what happened today? They're like, yeah, dude, you were fucking shaking and your fucking tongue was like, you were fucking full.
Gnarly,
we didn't know what to do. We put you on the couch, and then so it was like, put him on the floor, put him on the couch, like someone stick something in his mouth so he doesn't swallow it. Like they're all out of their minds high. Right?
Yeah. Holy shit.
So I woke up before they stuck anything in my mouth, and like stabbed me in the throat or something.
Trying to save you.
Yeah, and so I start coming to 2 minutes later. There's like paramedics, like you okay, and blah 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 blah, and Eric's just like, he's fucking white. Like, he's whiter than I am right, at this point. Like, no one's high anymore. I fucking scared the highness out of them. And he's like, dude, he goes, I saw you on the floor. You turned white. You were fucking having a seizure. I fucking saw the New York Post headline. They're ready. Scotty from Anthrax dies on House of Pain bus. Just like... He's like, dude, it was like, oh my God, we didn't think we thought you were just fucking with us. And
holy shit.
Oh my God.
That answers my question.
So no weed for you.
Yeah. And so I went in the ambulance, went to the hospital, and they checked my blood sugar and they said, dude, like, when's the last time you ate? I'm like, a day ago, and they squeezed this stuff under my tongue and that helped. And I saw the doctor, they checked me out in the emergency room already. By this point, I'm feeling okay. And I told the guy, I said, I took a little hit of this weed they had on the bus, and this is the third time this has happened to me. He goes, well, where are you from? I said, I live in California. He said, you should, go tell your doctor, and you should probably get checked out. You might have an allergy. You might get, obviously something's going wrong. I highly recommend you don't smoke weed again. I was like, I don't even like it. Like, that's the third time in like the last 4 or 5 years even that I've had it. And he goes, well, do yourself a favor. Like, go back to your hotel, order a cheeseburger, and go to bed. Like, you really need some food and you need some sleep. And I was like, it's exactly what I did. And woke up the next day, felt fine. We did our video shoot. But I did go home. 2 days later, I was back in LA and told my doctor everything that happened. And next, 2 weeks, every test you can imagine was run on me. They did all the epilepsy tests, and they blink a strobe light in your eye for fucking 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've been in a metal band at this point. I've been touring for about 8 years with strobe lights. If that was the cause of it would have happened already.
Be dead by now.
But everything, tons of blood tests, and they came back saying that I had an allergy to THC.
Whoa, that's it. That's it.
And I've never even tried. I've never heard of that. Even like when CBD became this thing in the last. Right. Like, I'm even afraid. Even when someone tells me it's 0.0, I'm afraid.
Yeah, fuck that. Ain't worth it.
Yeah, right. I'm scared. I've even had offers to represent some of these companies. I'm like,
of course not.
Yeah. So but you know what? It's actually given me the kick in the ass. Now I'm actually going to see an allergist just to see if that's something that still even exists in me, because I should probably know this. Like, I still have this weird.
Yeah. So long ago.
Yeah, because sometimes allergies actually change as you get older.
I was allergic to aspirin as a kid, but now I can have it. Okay, this is gonna be part one. So part two. Dad, parenting, music, moving to California, moving to Cali, everything you're involved in.
Dad,
I love that ring
right there, man.
But Scott, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
This is part one with Scott Ian, and part two will be coming soon. That was an hour and 50 minutes.
Nice.
That was great, though, man.
Boom.
Thank you so much, Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to the One Life One Chance podcast. I appreciate your subscriptions. Please rate, review, spread the word, share it, whatever you can do. I appreciate it so much. I'm having so much fun doing this podcast, and I appreciate all the support. You guys are fucking awesome.